Hey, you ever get one of those emails that makes you stop and read it? Maybe something like Lopez voice assistant class action settlement?
Or maybe a postcard just showed up.
Exactly. If that sounds familiar, well, you're in the right place. That notification. It points to something pretty significant we're going to explore today.
Absolutely. We're doing a deep dive into this recent $95 million settlement that Apple agreed to. It's all about Siri.
Right, Siri.
And it's not just, about the money. It really touches on bigger questions
Hmm.
about our privacy, our data, and these devices that are, well, everywhere now.
Yeah.
This whole case really highlights how people are becoming more aware and the law is catching up regarding how tech companies handle our voice data.
Mm-hmm.
Could set a bit of a precedent, really.
Okay, let's unpack this then. What exactly led to this? What were they actually accusing Apple of?
So the lawsuit, it's called Lopez versus Apple. The main claim was that Siri devices, iPhones, HomePods, whatever,
Mm.
were sometimes activating by accident
Mm-hmm.
and recording private conversations when they shouldn't have been. And then the other part of the claim was that these recordings were maybe shared with third-party companies.
Shared. For what? Like ads.
Potentially, yeah.
Mm.
The idea floated was maybe for targeted ads in Apple Search or Safari. That was the allegation.
Wow. So, like, even if you didn't say, hey, Siri, it might have been listening. That's kind of unnerving.
It's the core of it, yeah.
But Apple, I understand they're saying they didn't do anything wrong.
That's right. Apple denies any wrongdoing. They've consistently said Siri was built with privacy in mind from the start.
So why settle then?
Well, they state that, personal data from Siri hasn't been used for marketing or sold. Settling, it's often a practical decision. Avoids a really long, expensive court battle. It lets them move on without actually admitting fault.
Right, happens all the time.
Exactly. But it does create this interesting tension, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Between their privacy statements and what the lawsuit claimed.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so who actually gets a piece of this $95 million? I mean, tons of people have Apple stuff. The group must be huge.
It's pretty broad, actually. Basically, if you were a U.S. resident and you owned or even just used an Apple device with Siri,
Mm-hmm.
anytime between September 17th, 2014 and December 31st, 2024, you're probably eligible.
Okay, 2014 to the end of 2024? That's a long time.
10 years, yeah.
And when you say Siri-enabled devices, are we just talking iPhones? Or
Oh, no, it's way more than that. It's iPhones, iPads, Apple Watches, MacBooks, iMacs.
Rex too? Okay.
Yep. HomePods, the iPod Touch, if it had Siri, even Apple TVs with Siri.
Wow.
So yeah, if you've been using Apple products for a while, odds are pretty good you had one of those during that decade.
Okay.
And crucially, eligibility includes people who felt Siri activated unintentionally when they were having, private conversations.
Gotcha. Okay, so I definitely had an iPhone for like a good chunk of that time. What kind of money are we actually talking about here? Is it going to buy me a new car?
Chuckle slightly. Probably not a new car. The deal is potentially up to $20 per device.
Per device. Okay.
Yeah, but there's a cap. You can claim for a maximum of 5 devices. So the most one person could get is $100.
$100 max. Okay.
But, and this is important, that's the potential maximum. The actual amount you get might be less. It all depends on how many people actually file valid claims.
Right. The more people claim, the smaller each slice of the pie gets.
Exactly. The $95 million gets divided among everyone who files successfully.
Understood. So it's just $100. Now, are people going to need to like dig through old emails or find receipts from 2015? Because I definitely don't have those.
Good question. And interestingly, no. You don't need purchase receipts.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But you do have to attest, basically swear under penalty of perjury,
Yeah.
that you owned a qualifying device, that it had Siri-enabled, and that you were in the U.S. or its territories during that time frame.
Okay, so it's an honor system, but a legally binding one.
Pretty much. They're relying on you being truthful when you submit the claim.
Fair enough. Okay, deadlines. These things always have deadlines. What are the key dates people need to circle on their calendar?
Right. The big one is July 2nd, 2025. That's the absolute last day to submit your claim. Get it in before then.
July 2nd, 2025. Got it.
After that, there's a final approval hearing for the whole settlement, scheduled for August 1st, 2025.
And when might people actually see the money, assuming it all goes through?
The expectation is sometime later in 2025, but that really depends on the court giving the final okay and whether there are any appeals, which could slow things down.
So patience is key after filing.
Definitely.
Okay, July 2nd, 2025. Marked it down. How does someone actually do this? Like, where do you go to file?
The main way is online. There's an official settlement website set up. It's www.lopezvoiceassistantsettlement.com.
LopezVoiceAssistantSettlement.com. Okay.
Yeah, Lopez, Lopez. You go there, and you can fill out and submit the claim form right on the site.
And you mentioned before some people might have gotten an email or a postcard. What about those?
Right. So if you were identified as someone likely eligible, you might have received one of those directly.
Uh-huh.
Often, those notices will have a unique claim ID and maybe a confirmation code.
Mm-hmm.
If you got that, you can use it on the website, and it might make filling out the form a bit quicker.
But what if you didn't get one, but you
Maybe.
think you should be eligible?
No problem.
Yeah.
If you didn't get a notice, but you believe you fit the criteria, U.S. resident, own the device, in that time frame, you just go to the website and look for something like a new claim button or link. You can start fresh from there.
Okay, that's good. And what if you don't have proof of purchase, like we talked about? Does
Yeah.
the website help with that?
Yeah, it seems they've thought about that. Since receipts aren't required, the form might ask for other details if you don't have proof, maybe the device's serial number if you happen to know it, or the model type.
Okay.
That could help them verify things on their end potentially. And for getting paid, they'll likely offer options like a paper check in the mail, maybe an electronic check, or direct deposit. You'll probably get to choose.
It sounds like they've tried to make it reasonably accessible, considering how many people might be involved.
Seems that way, yeah.
Now, are there any, catches or important details people should think about before they file?
A couple of key things, yes.
Hmm.
First, just to stress it again, this settlement is only for U.S. residents. If you live outside the U.S., this specific settlement doesn't apply to you.
Right. U.S. only.
Second, and this is standard for class actions, if you participate, meaning you file a claim and accept a payment,
Uh-huh.
you give up your right to sue Apple separately about this specific issue later on. You're basically agreeing that this settlement resolves the matter for you.
So what if someone feels like, hey, this affected me way more, and they don't want to be part of this group settlement? Maybe they want to sue on their own.
They have that option. It's called opting out.
Okay.
You can choose to formally exclude yourself from the settlement. The deadline for that is also July 2nd, 2025. If you opt out, you get no money from the settlement, but you keep your right to pursue your own individual lawsuit against Apple if you want to.
So same deadline for claiming or opting out, July 2nd, 2025.
Correct. And there's one more thing. You can also object. You can object to the terms of the settlement itself, or you could object specifically to the amount of money the lawyers are requesting for their fees.
The attorney fees.
Yeah. Information about what the lawyers are asking for should be posted on that same settlement website, likely by May 28th, 2025. So people can see that and decide if they want to file an objection with the court.
Okay, so lots to consider there. Claim, opt out, or potentially object. All right, let's try and boil this down. To summarize everything we've just gone through, what are the absolute key takeaways for listeners?
Okay, number one. Apple agreed to pay $95 million to settle claims that Siri sometimes recorded private conversations accidentally.
Got.
Number two. If you lived in the U.S. and owned or used an Apple device with Siri between mid-September 2014 and the end of December 2024, you might be eligible.
Check those dates.
Number three, the potential payout is up to $20 per device, capped at $100 total per person. But the final amount depends on how many claims are filed.
Might be less.
Could be. Number four, the deadline to file your claim or to opt out is July 2nd, 2025.
Crucial date.
And number five, the place to do all this is the official website, www.lopezvoiceassistantsettlement.com.
Perfect. So yeah, if you got that email or postcard or just thinking back, you realize, hey, I had an iPhone or an Apple Watch back then, definitely worth checking out that website before July 2nd next year. Explore your options.
Absolutely. You know, this whole settlement, it really does make you think, doesn't it?
Mhm.
About this relationship we have with technology that listens.
Yeah.
As these voice assistants get smarter and, frankly, more integrated into everything we do, how do you think companies can, or maybe should, balance that convenience with really ensuring our privacy and keeping our trust?
It's a tough question.